Emily waking up to a quiet Saturday morning in her Michigan home, expecting another ordinary day, until she sees her father, Daniel, standing by her doorway holding the old blue sedan's keys with a look that is both serious and gentle, a look she hasn't seen since before her mother passed away, and without any build-up he simply says, "Come on, Em, today you're learning to drive," surprising her because for the last 2 years he has barely made space for long conversations, let alone something as personal as teaching her to drive. Emily feels a mix of nerves and curiosity as she follows him outside, noticing how the morning sun reflects on the car that has been in their family for years, a car that holds memories of road trips, old songs, and her mother's laughter, memories that now sting but also warm her heart. She slides into the driver's seat, hands trembling slightly because she has wanted this moment for so long but never imagined it would feel this heavy, especially with her father acting so unusually calm. Daniel sits beside her, not with the quiet, distant energy he has carried since losing Claire, but with a softness that makes her chest tighten, as if he is carrying a secret or preparing for a conversation he has avoided for too long. He guides her through each step in a steady voice, adjust the seat, check the mirrors, breathe, turn the key, and the car's old engine starts with a familiar rumble, filling the silence with something alive, something that feels like the first real connection they've shared in months. As she slowly pulls out of the driveway, the car moving cautiously onto the empty street lined with maple trees, Emily feels the strange tension in the air, the sense that something more than a driving lesson is happening, something deeper, something fragile. Daniel gives her gentle instructions, look further ahead, keep your hands steady, ease into the turn, and she tries to focus on the road, but his quiet glances and long pauses make her heart beat faster because it feels like he is searching for the right moment to say something he has carried inside him for a long time. They drive past familiar houses, past the park she used to visit as a child, past streets her mother once drove on, and each moment feels heavier than the last as she notices her father taking deeper breaths, his voice softer than she has ever heard it. She wonders if he is nervous, or if this lesson is only an excuse to finally talk about the distance between them, the grief they both tried to hide in different ways. The car moves slowly, the sunlight flickering through the trees onto the dashboard, and Emily senses that he is gathering courage, building up to something important, something that might change the way she sees him and the way she sees herself. Finally, during a quiet stretch of road where the breeze slips through the open windows, he says, "We have things to talk about," in a tone that isn't harsh but heavy with emotion, a tone full of meaning she can't yet understand, and in that moment she realizes her father didn't bring her out here just to teach her how to drive, he brought her out because he needed a safe moment, a quiet road, a shared space to open a door he has kept shut for far too long. The simple act of driving becomes a symbol, a beginning, a chance for both of them to move forward, to heal the distance created by grief, to rebuild something fragile but real. And though Emily doesn't yet know what he wants to say or why he chose today, the feeling in her chest grows stronger, telling her that this is the start of a conversation she has needed for years, a moment that isn't loud or dramatic but deeply important, a moment where the road ahead carries more than directions, it carries the possibility of understanding, healing, and reconnecting with the father she has missed more than she ever admitted. Emily driving slowly through the quiet streets of their Michigan suburb, trying to focus on the road while feeling the weight of her father's silence sitting beside her, a silence that doesn't feel empty but full, like he is carefully choosing the words he hasn't said in years. The maple trees bend over the road, casting soft shadows on the hood of the old blue sedan as Daniel gives gentle instructions, ease into the turn, look farther ahead, trust yourself, and each word surprises her because his voice is calm, patient, almost tender, so different from the tired, withdrawn way he had been since her mother passed away. The car moves steadily around a corner, and the calm neighborhood seems to blur around her as she tries to understand why today feels different, why her father suddenly wants to teach her to drive, why he keeps glancing at her with a kind of quiet sadness mixed with pride. As the engine hums under her hands, Daniel finally breaks the long stretch of silence with a memory she wasn't expecting, telling her that her mother used to be terrified of driving, how she stalled the car every few minutes, and how teaching her became one of their favorite things to laugh about. The simple story makes Emily's chest tighten with emotion because she remembers her mother's anxious smile and the way she always held the steering wheel too tightly. Hearing her father speak about her mother with such softness feels like a crack opening in a wall he had built around his grief, and Emily senses there is more behind the story, something deeper he is trying to reach. The morning sun reflects off the lake as they pass it, and Daniel's voice changes again, becoming quieter, lower, almost uncertain, as he admits he used to drive her mother around that same road whenever she was scared, and Emily suddenly feels the truth. This drive is not just a lesson but a way for him to reconnect with the parts of their life he has pushed away. She asks him softly why he's telling her this now, but instead of answering directly, he tells her to pull over by the lake, his tone gentle but serious, like he doesn't want her focusing on driving when he tells her whatever is weighing on him. Her hands tighten on the wheel as she eases the car to the edge of the gravel, the sound of the tires crunching under them matching the nervous rhythm of her heartbeat. When the engine stops, the silence around them grows thicker, the only sound being the lake breeze tapping the car door. Daniel leans forward, resting his elbows on his knees, and she can see how tired he looks, not physically tired, but tired from carrying something alone for too long. He starts slowly, telling her that when her mother became sick, they had long conversations late at night, and one of those conversations included a promise he made to her, a promise he hasn't been able to fulfill until today. Emily listens closely, feeling a mix of fear and longing because her mother's name alone is enough to make her throat tighten, and the idea of an unfinished message scares her even more. Daniel admits that after Claire passed away, he didn't know how to be a present father. He thought drowning himself in work would protect him from grief, but instead it made Emily feel like she had lost both parents, and hearing him say this out loud makes her eyes sting with tears. She tries to blink away. She waits for him to continue, but he hesitates, looking out at the water as if he can't decide how to share the next part, and Emily can feel that whatever he wants to say is something her mother trusted him to deliver. The lake breeze brushes through the car, carrying the faint smell of pine and summer air, while Emily watches her father take a deep breath and say her mother told him something important about her, something she wanted Emily to hear when the time was right. Emily's heart races, her mind trying to guess what her mother might have said, but Daniel's words grow slower, unsure, almost breaking, as he struggles to finish. She turns toward him, trying to read his expression, but before he can speak, he stops, his voice caught in his throat as if the words are heavy with emotion or fear. The moment feels suspended, like the world has paused just for the two of them, and Emily feels a mix of dread and hope rising inside her because she knows this is the conversation she has waited for without even realizing it. The story ends on that tight emotional pull, with Daniel preparing to tell her something deeply personal and important, something connected to her mother, something that will shape what comes next, leaving Emily caught between anxious curiosity and the fragile ache of wanting to hear her mother's last message through the man who has struggled for so long to give it voice. Emily sitting in the old blue sedan, parked quietly by the lake, the sunlight reflecting off the rippling water, as Daniel leans forward, resting his forearms on his knees, his eyes searching hers with a mix of sadness and love, finally breaking the long silence that has been building between them, and in that moment she realizes the conversation she has been waiting for all these years is about to begin, something she has imagined countless times but never felt ready for, yet now the air is thick with urgency and truth, and she listens carefully as he starts, his voice trembling slightly but steady enough to hold her attention, telling her that when her mother got sick, she made him promise something very important, a promise about her, Emily, that he has carried silently, unsure how or when to deliver, and his words pull her deeper into a swirl of emotion because she senses the weight of grief, love, and regret that have built up over the last 2 years. He tells her that her mother had always worried about Emily feeling alone, about her growing up thinking she had to be strong without support, and Daniel admits that he failed to fully be there for her, thinking that keeping busy would shield both of them from pain, but in truth it only created more distance and left Emily feeling abandoned. And hearing this confession shakes her because she realizes the emptiness she has felt wasn't ignored, it was misunderstood love, and now it's being poured into her lap in words she has longed to hear. Daniel's eyes soften as he recalls how her mother trusted him with a message she could not deliver herself, a message about love, about moving forward, about allowing herself to be happy even after loss, and he tells Emily that her mother's last request was that he ensure Emily knows she is allowed to love again, to open her heart without fear, and to embrace life fully, even in the absence of her mother, and as he speaks, Emily feels her chest tighten with a mixture of grief and relief, tears threatening to spill as she realizes this is the closure she has needed, the bridge between past sorrow and future hope. He explains that teaching her to drive today is not just about the car, it's about guiding her into independence, about symbolically handing her control, about showing her that he trusts her, that he believes in her, and Emily notices the care in his words, the tenderness he rarely shows, the vulnerability that makes her see her father not just as a parent but as a man who has suffered, loved deeply, and is now trying to heal with her, trying to reconnect after years of silence. The air around them feels lighter as he continues, revealing small memories of her mother, her laughter, her anxious grip on the steering wheel, her pride in Emily's strength, each word filling Emily's heart with warmth, making her ache for what they lost but also allowing her to feel that something precious remains, a connection between the three of them that even death cannot erase. Daniel pauses, looking down at his hands, then back at her, and says that this message is as much about hope as it is about forgiveness, urging Emily to forgive him for the years of absence and herself for the moments of doubt, to accept that life moves forward but love endures, and she feels a surge of emotion she has never experienced so intensely, a mix of longing, gratitude, and tender vulnerability that leaves her both trembling and strangely calm, as if finally a heavy weight has been lifted. He leans closer and confesses that he too is learning, that he doesn't have all the answers, but that sharing this truth with her is his first real step toward repairing the distance between them, and Emily realizes that this lesson, this quiet talk by the lake, is more meaningful than any driving instruction because it's about navigating life, about learning to steer through grief, love, and trust. As the sun begins to lower in the sky, painting the water in gold and orange, Daniel looks at her with hope shining through his tired eyes and tells her that her mother wanted her to know that love is not something to fear, that it saves us in ways we cannot predict, and in that instant Emily feels a flood of emotion as if her mother's presence is there in the gentle waves, in the sunlight, in her father's voice, and she finally understands the depth of the promise he carried, the reason for the lesson today, and the reason for this quiet, emotional journey, realizing that the words he is about to finish, the words she has been waiting for, will change her forever, opening a door to forgiveness, understanding, and a new kind of love that honors the past while inviting the future, leaving her breathless, teary-eyed, and profoundly moved, as the car remains parked silently by the lake, holding a sacred moment between father and daughter, a moment that will shape their lives from this day onward, a bridge between sorrow and hope, between grief and the tender beginnings of healing. Emily sitting silently in the old blue sedan, parked by the shimmering lake, her heart racing from the emotional truths her father, Daniel, has just shared, as the golden afternoon light dances on the water and the air feels charged with anticipation, and before she can fully process everything he has revealed about her mother's wishes, a familiar voice calls her name, breaking the intimate bubble of their conversation and making her heart skip a beat. It is Luke, her childhood friend, the boy who has grown up beside her, who has always shared her laughter, her secrets, and lately, her quiet, unspoken feelings, and he steps out of his car with concern etched on his face, approaching slowly as if sensing the delicate tension surrounding her, and Emily's chest tightens because his presence brings a mix of comfort, confusion, and the stirring of emotions she hasn't allowed herself to name. While Daniel watches the interaction with a small, knowing smile, a hint of embarrassment, yet a deep understanding of the connection between the two. Luke leans slightly closer, his voice soft. "Hey, your dad called me earlier. He wanted me nearby in case you got nervous driving," and Emily feels warmth spreading in her chest, realizing that this gesture, though small, reflects the care that has always been present beneath the surface of their long friendship. Her father stands up, dusting off his jeans, and for a moment the three of them are suspended in quiet, the lake behind them, the car engine still warm, the air carrying unspoken feelings, and Daniel's voice breaks the pause as he says, "I should tell you both something, because it involves you too, Luke," and Emily's pulse quickens, the words sending a mix of fear and excitement through her, as she senses that the moment about to unfold will not only heal the bond between her and her father, but also open the door to something tender and unexpected with Luke. Luke's eyes widen slightly, a mixture of surprise and curiosity, and Daniel meets Emily's gaze with a look full of love, pride, and a trace of sadness, and he finally says the words her mother entrusted him to deliver, revealing that Claire had always known about the special feelings between Emily and Luke, that she had seen the way they cared for each other, and that her last wish was for them to allow themselves to love without hesitation or fear, to embrace happiness together, and to carry forward life's joy even in her absence, a request meant to ease the burden of grief and open their hearts to possibility. Emily's breath catches as she hears this, tears welling in her eyes, and Luke steps closer, hesitating for a moment before reaching for her hand, their fingers brushing gently, a spark of emotion igniting between them, while Daniel watches, his own eyes glistening, a mix of relief and hope washing over him as he realizes the message has been delivered, and the weight of unspoken feelings finally begins to lift. The lake reflects the soft glow of the sun, the wind whispers through the trees, and Emily feels a warmth spreading through her heart, a sense of closure, love, and new beginnings, all intertwined in this single, perfect moment, as Luke's presence grounds her, the touch of his hand reassuring her, and the knowledge that her mother's blessing, carried through her father's voice, allows her to accept the possibility of love again. Daniel steps back slightly, giving them space, and Emily looks at Luke, feeling a tenderness she had never fully acknowledged before, a gentle pull of attraction and trust mingled with years of friendship, while her father smiles softly, proud and emotional, knowing that his daughter can finally embrace both love and life without guilt or hesitation, and that he has fulfilled the promise he made to her mother, ensuring Emily's happiness and the continuation of love in ways Claire had always hoped for. The moment stretches, not in silence, but in the unspoken understanding between them, a feeling of emotional intimacy, hope, and romantic potential, and Emily feels the tears sliding down her cheeks, not from sorrow, but from the overwhelming beauty of connection, forgiveness, and the gentle guidance of those who love her. Luke squeezes her hand lightly, a silent reassurance, while Daniel watches, knowing he has created the space for healing, for love, and for Emily to step forward into a future bright with possibilities. The lake shimmers, the wind carries the faint scent of summer and pine, and the old blue sedan sits quietly behind them, a witness to this transformative moment, a symbol of trust, love, and new beginnings, as Emily realizes that what started as a simple driving lesson has become a profound journey of emotional reconnection, closure, and the awakening of love, leaving her speechless, heart full, and ready to embrace both life and love with a newfound courage, knowing that her mother's hope, her father's honesty, and Luke's presence have created a moment that will forever change her heart and shape the path ahead.